Hi, Montview Church. My name is Jason Hayes. I'm your Executive Director for Operations and Finance. Today I wanted to explain a little bit about what's going on in our construction project. Many of you know that we are in the middle of an historic capital campaign renovation project here at Montview Church, a house of prayer for all people. We know that many of you have been reading our weekly updates on construction in our weekly newsletter by email this week at Montview. But for those of you who might not be reading those weekly updates, we wanted to give you a little video tour on what's happening inside the building. So we're going to begin in the sanctuary, and then I'll take you through some of the spaces that are being impacted by construction. So let's head inside. Well, we're in the sanctuary now. And if you remember, we were doing some construction here in the sanctuary, particularly updating the painting on all the walls of the sanctuary. And you may not know this yet if you are not in worship with us on Sunday yet. We have upgraded the lights to high-tech lights that can be controlled remotely by an iPad. We can change the color and the hue and some of the light settings for our special services. So here in the sanctuary, we've been doing paint and updating the lights. If you look in the back of the sanctuary, you'll see we have plastic sheeting up over where the choir is. We are renovating the choir loft so that we can create a walkway there on the right across through the new raised commons. So we have some shoring going on under here, under the choir loft. That's to gird up the floor of the choir loft, which is currently being cut open in order to build more reinforcements to build this bridge across the commons. So in just a moment, we'll show you what that looks like. But this is why we have shoring here supporting the choir loft. And then we'll have a grand accessible choir loft after the project is over. So here we're in the north end. And originally, the project included doing some asbestos abatement in the ceiling and updating the fixtures in the narthex. As we did demolition in this space, we found some additional asbestos work that we needed to do. Additionally, you'll see up here in the ceiling, we've had to cut out sections of the choir loft that I just mentioned and rebuild new steel reinforcements so that we can create that bridge that goes across the commons. So this is one of the reasons why we haven't been able to access the narthex during construction, because there's a lot of structural work going on here for this choir loft. So now we're in the commons. Now some of you who have been members of Montview a long time might remember what it was like when the sanctuary was over here and the administration building was over here, and this really was open to the sky. But since the late 80s, it's been enclosed into what we've been calling the Westminster Commons. Right now, I want to reconnect what we were talking about, where the choir loft comes and opens through this part of the stone building. And then we are building the walkway that goes across, and we will break open the doorway into the second floor of the administration building. This is one of the highlights of our project, which is raising the commons up to a second floor and having lots of glass and natural light coming into this space. You'll also notice that our normal Dahlia Street entrance doors are going to be pushed out to the next set of arches. And so we'll be reconfiguring this grand staircase into our commons. We'll be relocating a new updated modern lift into that stairwell there. And so we'll have this grand entry into the commons. If you look up, you'll see this second floor and this gorgeous skylight that's being built. This is part of what we're calling the lantern. And we'll also have all this natural light where you'll be able to see the sanctuary on the other side of the commons. As we move through the commons, you'll see that we're also doing work here in what we're calling Eudora Lane. This Eudora Street entrance had been neglected. It doesn't get much sunlight. The ice continues to accumulate in the wintertime. So we're building in a heated walkway, which is safer, and we will ramp all the way down to Eudora Street with planterns, and we'll have this sort of European lane feeling. And again, a heated pathway all the way down for a safe, accessible entrance and exit to our commons. I just wanted to highlight something that's sort of interesting is these exterior windows now will be indoors, and this will be an interesting architectural feature of our new commons that we didn't have before. Well, so let's head on into the Miller Center, what we're reclaiming as Miller Chapel, and we'll pick it up there. So here we are in the Miller Center, the Miller Chapel, and there are some pieces that I want to celebrate that are already completed. The first one is we're restoring this worship space and performance space to its former glory. And the plaster work up in the ceiling has already been completed. It is absolutely gorgeous. If you remember sitting in the Miller Center before, we had draped cloth to help with the acoustics, and now we've reclaimed this beautiful plaster work from its original historical value. Here on the stage, we are keeping our stage, our rotating stage, and we're rebuilding that with a brand new stage. We'll be restoring some of the windows on each side of the Miller Center. Some of these gorgeous stained glass, lead glass windows are absolutely gorgeous. We're also adding a concert-grade soundproofing curtain that goes all the way around the space, so that we'll have a beautiful, updated concert venue or performing arts venue for music and mask and some of our music ministries. We have a retractable wall. Before we had the old accordion door there, and we installed a new steel beam that will go over where that new door will go. Those steel beams are supported all the way down to the foundation under the building. Finally, we'll be refurbishing the pews in this space, putting in new floors. Additional AV technology will be in this space. We'll be connecting the worship space and the Miller Chapel. So we'll have really a cutting edge, a community performing arts center and worship space for Montview Church. It's gonna be amazing when you come back into this space. Now we are in the grand hallway that is on the Dahlia Street side of the Miller Center, the Miller Chapel. And much of this space for a long time was reserved for music and mask, for props, for sets. And we are refinishing and restoring all the historic windows on each side. Now remember, we have the blackout shades in the Miller Chapel, so when we have performances, we can black out that space. And then here, we are reclaiming this space for gathering here in our Carillon Bell Tower. We're restoring these windows, and this will become a small gathering space, and we'll have this sense of flow from the McCollum Room on one end all the way around to our Montview Boulevard front porch. So let's head there to the front porch. So the front porch itself will remain intact, but we will be enclosing it with glass, and we are reconfiguring our front porch. We'll have an outdoor living room, some gathering space that we could use for weddings or during intermission, during concerts. We'll have a new staircase built here with new rhyolite stone, and we'll have new plantings and landscaping going on here on Montview. This will then continue the movement of our community into the Robinson Room. So many of you know that the Robinson Room was a small meeting space. We're going to be building a children's library here in the Robinson Room, and partly because of the symbolism of this stained glass. Here, Jesus blessing the children. So this space will be a children's library, and we'll have this kind of connection between the children's library and our new Heritage Center and library. Now there's scaffolding here in part because we are reconfiguring the sight lines from the entrance to the Heritage Center to this gorgeous stained glass window.
the original plans when we were envisioning this space was to have a storage room where the old library was. And as we moved into demolition and started preparing for our construction, we found ourselves in this space in its original glory as our original worship space. This is the original church we had. And we realized that we didn't want to lose that. We wanted to keep the historic symbolism of our first worship space. So we reconfigured that. Now it's an open gathering space. We have a new library here with some open bookshelf racks. We'll again have connectivity to the children's library there. And again, as I mentioned, we reconfigured the opening so we have this beautiful sight line with that new that original stained glass window of the children. Here we'll have fellowship time and fellowship space for coffee hour, receptions after events. We have new casework coming in, and the Heritage Committee and the library folks are working really diligently to put together a beautiful new display that will, many of those display items will be digital so that they can be changed out over time. We'll have coffee service there in this area after church on Sundays, if many of you already are used to coffee hour in this space. And then here will be a meeting area, a gorgeous library conference table, and some digital displays to highlight the heritage of Montview Church. So again, in this space, we're really trying to reclaim the original historic beauty while also updating this space for the 21st century, for gathering, for meeting, for sharing our heritage, and for learning in our library. We've gone up one floor to the second floor. If you know where the green room is, or Dan's office, that's just right around here in this hallway. We wanted to share with you some of the things we're finding in our demolition. In old buildings like this, we've got blueprint drawings going back for decades, but you never quite know what you're going to find until you find it. And one of those examples is a wall that was built when the education wing was built, and oddly, watch out for low-hanging wires, oddly, this brick wall, which we didn't expect to butt right against this old historic window into the Miller Chapel. So we discovered this, and now we've got to change our design plans and figure out what we're going to do. Similarly, we're working around sort of old HVAC systems and old wiring, and so you know that a big chunk of this project, 1.5 million of it almost, is in updating our electrical systems, plumbing, HVAC, life safety. And so this just gives you a sense of what some of our old electrical systems look like that we're upgrading. As we move up this ramp, you'll see that we are also impacting the education wing here. So many of you have been asking, why can't we get back into those classrooms? Well, many of our classrooms in the education wing have the old historic windows that are being renovated. And so we're doing containment and repair, and in a few cases, taking those windows out and having them repaired at the shop and bringing them back. But you'll see here that even our education wing is impacted and not safe for us to be occupying these spaces right now. Additionally, in the education wing, we're updating the fire and life safety component. So you'll see that we're replacing the fire doors. We'll be reinforcing the hallways with more life safety and fire safety technology. So I know it's frustrating that many of you want to get back into your beloved church, and we want to get you back into the church as soon as we can, but safely. So thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long time. This is what's going on this second level. Now we're going to move down to the basement. I want to highlight a few areas again with infrastructure updates, and then we'll be done with the tour. So now we're in the lower level of the building. We're in the hallway that connects the fellowship hall and the gallery room here to the cellar. And as I mentioned before, we are updating the infrastructure. So up here in the hallway, the ceilings are torn out. We're updating plumbing, HVAC, electrical, infrastructure, fire alarm. So in nearly every space of this building, going all the way down this hallway, around to the reception room, into the music center, these hallways are torn up because we're updating the infrastructure of this historic building. And most of those things, when you come back, you won't even see. So I wanted to make sure you see what these hallway ceilings look like now, so you get and have some appreciation for all the investment that we're making in updating our beautiful campus. So we're at the end of our tour. Thank you so much for coming along with me to the inside of this building so you can see how construction is impacting and updating this space. You know, right behind me is the Dahlia Street entrance. This is our symbol of hospitality to the community and to the world. It's this beautiful melding together of historic Montview and contemporary Montview as we imagine this new lantern, symbolizing that we're a vibrant, active church in our contemporary world. I know many of you are growing impatient that you can't be back in our beloved building, and these spaces mean so much to you. You got married in these spaces, or you baptized your children, or you went to Sunday school here, and I know your patience is running thin, but we will be finished with this project soon, and we ask for your continued patience. And we want to thank you, not just for your patience, but for your generosity, because it is only through your generosity that we can build upon the investment and the foundation of those who have gone before us, those that came before, who invested in the ministry of Montview and built these beautiful buildings. Now we pick up the torch and we renovate and update these spaces so that truly Montview Church can be a house of prayer for all people for generations to come. And for that, we thank you.